Hello there. It's your humble Ronin here with another attempt at Lounge Ronin Live. Let's see how this plays out. With another attempt. So, if you're new to the channel, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, ring that notification bell. And without further ado, let us get into it. And on this episode, we're going to discuss Kentucky judge killed by sheriff ran courthouse like brothel and traded sex for favors at twisted parties. So I've been trying to cover this story for a minute now, and I'm finally able to talk about it, which I'm glad because it kind of coincides with our Whitney Webb interview that we reacted to. So I'm glad that I'm able to bring this story to light. So let's get into it. And also, well, I don't even want to spoil any of it for you. So let's just get right into this article. All right. This article was written by Emily Crane and it was published August 20th, 2025. Kentucky judge killed by sheriff ran courthouse like brothel and traded sex for favors at twisted parties, victim claims. So let's get into this one. Well, it looks like some Luigiani drama going on. The rural Kentucky judge gunned down in his own chambers last year ran a twisted sex ring in which young women were coaxed into performing sexual favors just to get out of trouble, one of the alleged victims claims. Taya Adams alleges she was among those caught up in Judge Mullen's apparent sex for favors scheme that saw him and others in the tiny town of Whitesburg demand sex in exchange for cash or to get offenders off the hook. Sounds like something all too familiar. Adams told News Nation Bainfield that Mullins, who was shot execution style in his Letcher County chambers, allegedly by his longtime sheriff pal Sean Steins last September, had warned her to keep quiet about the so-called depraved ring. So even the sheriff was in on it. Quote, "We would do sex parties and perform shows and have sex with them for money, things like that." End quote. Adams alleged. Quote, "It was consensual, but it was a thing that we were so young, and then they used it against us and to destroy our lives later." End quote. Sounds like Epstein, right? Sounds all too familiar. Except this is happening in a rural county in Kentucky. All right, if this can happen in a rural county in Kentucky, this can happen in your own backyard and you wouldn't even realize it. Adams said she felt forced to go along with the judge's scheme because she feared Child Protective Services would somehow get involved and upend her life. Quote, They would make sure to make you feel as small and degraded and belittled as possible, to take your power away, end quote, Adams said. It wasn't immediately clear if the woman had any prior run ins with the law or if she was on CPS radar at the time. She went on to say that it was just a given. She would keep her mouth shut about the apparent depravity, insisting, quote, who would believe it anyway? Because the whole town was doing it. Nobody cares. They're all swingers. It's all a big party to them. It was just so normal, end quote. So it sounds like to me that this whole town should go to prison. This is a rural town in Kentucky involved in sex extortion. You know, like I said, if this is happening in a small rural town in Kentucky, and we're already dealing with it on a global scale, on an international scale, and now we're also having to deal with it in local communities. Like I said this in my Whitney Webb uh, reaction to her interview. Like, we need to vote these people out. We need to get these type of sick individuals out. But I mean, if the whole town's in on it, it it begins to get very, very questionable. In me personally, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, well, if the whole town was in on it, what makes you believe that there wasn't any local government, in terms of the state government, I should say, that was not involved in this? It, you know, and she looks like the product of a woman in rural Kentucky. So it's not like we're dealing with elitism here. This is something that people should kind of think about and take into consideration when it comes to these heinous, acts of depravity. And think about this: no one's talking about this. This should be national news, but again, just swept under the rug. Separately, Sarah Davis, a former deputy jailer at the Letcher County lockup, told the outlet she'd heard about the nasty and sickening stories to come out of the parties. Quote, pretty much everybody in the county knows, she said. Quote, but it was confirmed to me after working in the county jail, especially after being invited to a party myself, end quote. So, so you have this jailer, this deputy jailer, she's aware of what's going on, but she doesn't do anything about it. She just doesn't bring any attention to it. And I don't know if maybe it's because after she was invited and we can only speculate that she declined from the way it's being presented to us, that she declined, that maybe then at that point she knew, well, what's the point of me trying to tell anyone about it? They're just going to assume I'm in on it too, even though I declined it. It's a nasty situation where these local powerful individuals essentially compromise an entire town for their own sick, depraved sexual games. The claims only add to disturbing allegations that they have emerged in the wake of Mullins' chilling, caught-on-camera slaying last year, including that the slain judge had been running his courthouse like, quote, a brothel. It has since been revealed that one woman, Sabrina Atkins, threw Mullins' name into the mix during a 2022 criminal investigation into a Letcher County deputy sheriff who was later jailed for sexual assault and sodomy of a female inmate. Good Lord. So this is the judge, Mullins. His name was thrown in the investigation, but they threw this guy under the bus, the deputy sheriff. Yeah, disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. All right, let's continue. Adkins, who claimed she was coerced by then Deputy Sheriff Ben Fields to perform sexual favors in exchange for staying under house arrest, alleged the judge was in on the long-standing sextortion racket. Quote, I seen Judge Mullins having sex with a girl in the judge's chambers, end quote. Adkins told police in her interview at the time. So even the courthouse was just a big, just a big old, just a big old brothel, just fucking in his office in the courthouse. Nasty, nasty, nasty business. But then if you think about it, if he's having sex in the courthouse, everyone there knew, even the county clerks, who probably were in on it as well. This is crazy. This is think about this. This is an entire town in on a sextortion, blackmail, racketeering escapade, and we're not. No one's talking about this. I get it. You know, every single day it's just one crazy bullshit after the other. But this is wild. And you know what's funny about this is when I think about this incident in Kentucky, it reminds me of this new movie with the Better Call Saul actor, the guy from Nobody. He has a new movie coming out where he plays a sheriff, where he stumbles onto a conspiracy where the entire town is in on it except him. So it's kind of like Hot Fuzz with the British film. I can't even think of the actor's name. Where the next thing they know, all of the top people in the town are in on this massive conspiracy. So this is a really scary situation to find yourself in, especially when you realize that it's happening in rural Kentucky. It's not happening in New York. All right, it's not happening in like Miami. This isn't Miami. It's not LA. This is happening in rural Kentucky. That's why I said if it's happening in rural Kentucky, it's happening here, and it could possibly be happening in your neighborhood. You might not even know about it, or maybe you are unwillingly participating and unknown about it. This is how nasty these kind of things get. I was on the Haram Life podcast last night. Shout out to Haram Life. Much love, and really grateful that he had me on his platform, and to his audience for allowing me to speak. But I was talking about how, with our own taxes that we pay, none of it goes to improving our infrastructure. None of it improves on improving our schools or hospitals. All of that goes to causing mayhem and war and bloodshed across the seas. And now we unwittingly have blood on our hands. It's kind of like that. This, deputy jailer, she knew about what was going on, but didn't do anything about it. She didn't bring it to the state. She could have brought this to, federal investigators. At any point, anyone could have. The question is why? This is a really sick and twisted, freaky situation. Now, this is Steins, the man who killed the judge. Now, this is where things get very interesting. Authorities have previously refused to rule out if a possible sex scandal was the motive behind the bloodshed. Oh, really? We're finding out that the entire town is engaged in a sextortion, sex trafficking, blackmail ring, but we're not gonna rule that. We're not gonna rule it out, but the whole town is in on this, but we're not gonna rule it out. Come on, guys, please. Please. The judge had been decades-long friends with his accused killer and was spotted having lunch with him just hours before he was gunned down on September 18th. Chilling surveillance footage captured the sheriff stepping into his pal's office and making multiple calls to his daughter before opening fire. Steins then allegedly walked out and immediately surrendered, telling cops they're trying to kidnap my wife and kid. The sheriff's attorney later described the execution style shooting as a crime of passion due to an extreme emotional disturbance. Steins, who resigned days after the shooting and is being held in an eastern Kentucky jail without bond, has pleaded not guilty to a charge of murder of a public official. Well, that's pretty ballsy. Caught in 4K HD, Blu-ray, DVD, and you're gonna say, "No, I didn't do it." Hey, more power to him, I guess. But this is the plot twist is that he was claiming that right here they were trying to take his wife and kid. So we don't know what happened in that conversation between him and the judge. We don't know if the judge made threats. We don't know if the judge made um, alluded to threats or to information regarding the sheriff that would make the sheriff perceive a threat. And then the next thing you know, he's calling his daughter right before he executes the sheriff. A part of me thinks that maybe they were trying to coax and wrap the daughter and wife into this. We don't know. And then who was trying to kidnap the wife and kid? Was it local people? Was it people outside of the state? Was this part of, for what we know, it could be an intelligence operation? I mean, the more you look into all of these, sex trafficking, blackmailing rings, the more you find out it's some form of intelligence operation. So who knows what's really going on in Kentucky? Just something that I've thought about. So these are things that it's very concerning and very disturbing that this is going on. So I highly recommend people out there just, keep a head on a swivel in your local town, especially if you've already got a weird feeling about your local community. Just keep an eye out. You don't know what they might be up to. Ugh. It's a very, very disturbing story. Very disturbing incident. But this is unfortunately the world that we are currently living in now. And I highly implore people, like I said, just be very mindful of your community and who you interact with. And I don't know what else to say. It's getting weird out there, and people are getting a little too comfortable with expressing their depravities. But like I said, we won't know. They might sweep this entire incident under the rug. We might never find out what's really going on in this Kentucky community. For all we know, like I said, this might have something to do with intelligence agencies. These type of things tend to be connected. But time will tell. I might keep an eye on this story because I do really find it fascinating. And I'm really curious to see what type of revelations will continue to be brought out from this case. So, if I end up doing a part two, I'll let you guys know. I'm happy to see that my connection is working a lot better and the audio is doing much better. It was a bit of a hiccup, bit of a headache, but we managed to persevere. But in closing, um, if you haven't, make sure to check out the Haram Life podcast. Check out my appearance there. It was a wonderful conversation, a wonderful time. Again, shout out to Haram Life for him giving me time to be on his platform and to speak with his audience. It was a wonderful time. Like I said, I will keep you updated on this story if anything breaking comes out about it. I got some stuff coming up this weekend for you guys. We got a Ronin reaction. We got another Ronin garden video. If you haven't seen it, you should check out my garden video. I put one out there last Saturday, so check that out. We got that coming up. And we'll see what next week brings. Shout out to Protocol, who's coming in. Um, oh, thank you, Protocol. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I really enjoyed being on Haram Life's podcast. It was a wonderful experience. I hope I did a good job for everyone who got to tune in. And thank you for the support, Protocol. I really appreciate it. Definitely really appreciate it. But this was like I said, this is a wild story. Um, I don't know if you got a chance to catch it, Protocol, but you might want to catch the replay on this crazy story of what's going on in rural Kentucky, an entire sex trafficking extortion ring that the entire town was involved in has been uncovered. And I'm going to be doing a catch up on this story because I find it to be absolutely fascinating. And the fact that nobody is talking about it, it's very, very telling. I'm going to be getting on out of here. For those who are new to the channel and you've made it this far, thank you. Please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and you'll catch me today at 2 p.m. on Hotep Jesus Live for the word of the day on kick.com. So make sure to tune in for that if you're curious. And until next time, stay positive, stay focused, stay true, and much love. Will the sheriff walk? Hold on. We got to come in. Hold on. Protocol, I do not know if the sheriff is going to walk. He has this is you're going to love this. They have him in 4K executing the judge. They have him calling his daughter right before he executes the judge. And he is saying he's innocent, that he didn't kill the judge. Even though he walked out of the judge's office. Mind you, the judge was having sex with women in his office in the courthouse. And he tells the police, yeah, I did it. They were trying to kidnap my wife and kid. So who knows? Like I said earlier in the live stream, maybe this has some type of intelligence operation going on to it. I don't know. But it's a very, very interesting story. If this sheriff walks free, I don't even know what that means for this community or what the larger story is. But it's a doozy, Protocol. If there's more to this, I'm definitely going to be keeping up to it. I'll see you guys at 2 p.m. at Hotep Jesus Live on kick.com. If you haven't, check out the Haram Live podcast. Please make sure to subscribe to their channel and check out my guest appearance. And I'll see you guys next time. Stay positive, stay focused, stay true, and much, much love.